Gardner-Johnson is getting some love in regards to safety position compared to the rest of the NFL. He is the third best safety per touchdown wire, and he brings a lot of veteran and experience to the Lions secondary, in which I do believe it's going to be elite. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. And we're just going to get into it, how we made a position of weakness a major strength, and CJ Gardner-Johnson is one of the main reasons why. Thanks to you guys tuning in here to Lions Nation Unite. During this lull period, waiting for training camp, not a lot going on, but that's okay because we keep the news and rumors and anything regarding the Detroit Lions to you as much as humanly possible. Yesterday, the logo or the alternate helmet was revealed and unveiled, and I thought it looked good, but a lot of people did not like it. Some people did, some people didn't. You're never going to get a perfect, 100% love for any sort of uniform. So go ahead and comment about that in the comment section. But this is about CJ Gardner-Johnson and how he has been ranked the third best safety per touchdown wire. It says, as the free-range deep safety in 1 and 2 high looks, Gardner-Johnson provide extreme value with the sideline-to-sideline range and ball skills. Gardner-Johnson is more than capable of stopping a run play in the backfield, time gap, shove, and moves, taking down the enemy quarterbacks when they need to arise. And this is no joke. To me, he is, I think that's right, the third best safety in the NFL. He is really a good player on the field. And it's, to me, what he brings to the Detroit Lions, it's not just on the field, but, the play. It's what he brings out, the personality and the traits in each Lions defender in the back end of this defense. I really love his attitude and how he brings fire to what we need and changing a culture. 2 years ago, we acquired a player in Jamal Williams, and I really felt he helped change the culture for the Detroit Lions. Yeah, Dan Campbell, obviously, he helped do that. But in players, you got to have players to help do that as well. And Jamal Williams was one of those key ingredients to help change the culture. Fan favorite, we all loved him and still appreciate what he has done for this organization the 2 years that he was here. But it doesn't stop there. I think the Lions needed that type of presence on defense because the defense has been in shambles. When Matt Patricia took over, really just made it awful and really hurt this team's morale, all of that. And the late addition of free agency was getting CJ Gardner-Johnson. I think it's one of the biggest moves the Lions have made so far this offseason, and it's paid off tenfold right now in dividends regarding what he has done with the players on the field, and he'll make this secondary elite. What he has done with his personality is really revved up, bringing confidence to players such as Kerby Joseph, Tracy Walker, Emmanuel Mosley. Cameron Sutton's already was a player with a lot of confidence. Jerry Jacobs. And it is taken their personality out to where now they feel they are one of the best. Instead of, can we compete to be one of the best? CJ Gardner-Johnson has made them feel they are. And when you have that confidence and that swagger, you believe it and you start to account and do it. And we've seen it in OTAs and minicamp how the secondary has really changed the way it has been viewed for many years in a positive manner. Jared Goff himself says it's been difficult in OTAs and minicamp, and that's damn good to hear because the Lions' offense is very difficult for defenses. So when he's having a hard time, this offense is having a hard time, that is great news for the Detroit Lions secondary and the acquisitions that Brad Holmes did with players of Emmanuel Sanders, Cam Sutton, and all of that. And he has done something that is really difficult to do. Take a position of weakness and make it a strength. CJ Gardner-Johnson, to me, is the Jamal Williams on defense. He has changed the outlook and trajectory of this defense immensely. And he's a fantastic player with his skill set. We know that. He's versatile. He can play the nickel. He can play safety. He's just a great player. And we were asked a question on the One Pride podcast last week, will you re-sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson? We did draft a guy in Brian Branch that is very similar to C.J. Gardner-Johnson in versatility. And I think it does give the Lions flexibility to not re-sign him, but his presence will be felt this year and beyond because the way he presents himself on the practice field with getting chirpy and bringing a big-time boost to the young players defensively. So even if he leaves, I think that swag will stay. It is a culture fit. And he is the reason that I think that the Detroit Lions secondary now is elite and one of the best in the NFL. You look at how many players now that we have that can get turnovers, and turnovers wins games. You already know that Kerby Joseph is a ball hawk. Now you give him tenfold of confidence. He's just going to be able to roam that defense and be able to get more turnovers and give the football back to Jared Goff in this offense. You know you have a Emmanuel Mosley who's now, he was a really good player for the 49ers before he got hurt. Now you're giving him more swagger. And he's going to come out and get those turnovers like he did over there. Jerry Jacobs, who already had a swagger, is now much higher in the way he presents himself in confidence, power hitter, secondary player. Now, Cameron Sutton, he's not the most vocal guy in the world, but his confidence is booming. And Brian Branch, rookie, is going to be able to mold himself behind his replica in CJ. So you're taking these players, you're boosting them up, and you're giving them tools that's going to last for a very long time for Aaron Glenn in this defense. So even though he's the third best safety, in which I do believe so, I think he brings so much more than just play on the field, that it means so much more to this defense than I think we even can imagine right now. I think it really does, because when you've been so bad at one position, like the Lions secondary has been for many, many years, you needed some sort of adrenaline boost to get this thing to turn around, because the secondary has been so awful for so long. You have to have that veteran that can instill pieces of their mantra into the game of the younger players like Jerry Jacobs and Brian Branch to make this thing go forward. And you look at teams like the Baltimore Ravens when they had all their veterans over there. That was just changing the way their defense was with Ray Lewis. And for many, many, many years, they were ferocious. Just scary, because you had that swag and that confidence and that veteran leader who also was elite at his position, instill it in the rest of his players. And I think that's what C.J. Gardner-Johnson is doing to this defense right now. And the reason why I think this team is going to win the NFC North, host a playoff game, and win a playoff game is because of what Brad Holmes did by snatching this player. And it'll be really interesting for me to see what happens to the Eagles' defense. Are they able to stay very confident, because he was there and he instilled it in those players, and Darius Slay was one of those players too as well, who I thought was a very confident player. Can they continue to be really good and chirpy? And then that spells what the Lions could do, even if Gardner leaves next year, is it will bring something to this defense that can stay there for many years and have relevancy to the Lions football team, and then have an identity that this team is going to hit you in the face. They're going to get in your wide receiver's ear, mouth, and fight to the bitter end. You're not just going to be able to run your routes on us, get an automatic first down, 5 yards, all of that garbage. You're going to have to fight every inch, because that's what he brings to this team, is a player who has to fight every inch with all the players there. We had Quandre Diggs. What I loved about Diggs was his ability to smack a wide receiver, and it would instill a little bit of doubt in the wide receiver's head. You're going to get hit every single time. Now, when you have someone chirping and confidence, it's going to get in their head a little bit, and that is invaluable to a defense. So I'm really excited for the future of this secondary, and I think it could be one of the best secondaries in all of football. And who knows how far with such a good secondary this team can go. Maybe it can go a lot farther than we even think as a NFC contender, a Super Bowl contender. And I know that sounds homer talk. It absolutely does. But when you have players that believe that they are elite, that believe that they can win every single matchup and are that ferocious, there's nothing that's going to be able to stop that. There's absolutely nothing that's going to be able to stop that. And it's going to annoy offenses. It's going to annoy players that you're going against. Get into their head a little bit, and then we start winning and getting turnovers. And then when the quarterback's throwing all these interceptions, doubt creeps in. And that's where you start demolishing a team. And you start breaking them down. Remember the game in 2011, the Lions faced the Kansas City Chiefs, and we just freaking creamed them. It ended up being like 44-16. And you could just see the doubt in the faces of the players. That's the type of thing that we'll be looking forward to in these games this year, seeing that doubt. And then it's like you get that aura around the team that these guys are for real. And then offensive coordinators have to somehow scheme around that. And it's going to be really difficult and a big problem. So I think this secondary is going to be fantastic, and it's going to be something to behold. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think I'm full of it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Hey, let me know in the comments below. So I'm curious to see what you guys think on this one.